Very much, Mr. Chairman. Small businesses really do drive the economy, and I'd say throughout the country, but especially in North Texas. And AI seems to be giving entrepreneurs new tools that were once out of reach for all but the largest of companies. It's helping owners save time, make better decisions so they can focus more on serving customers and growing their businesses. And on this committee, we are working alongside the Trump administration to remove a lot of the barriers and to help small businesses to put these tools to work. Washington should be building on that progress without creating new uncertainty or unnecessary costs for our small businesses, so that businesses of every size can benefit as America continues to lead in AI. Mr. Crenshaw, AI is already helping small businesses compete with much larger firms. Washington needs to be careful, as I mentioned, not to regulate away that advantage, but at the same time, business owners need confidence that their customer data, the financial information, proprietary work are secure. So as we consider some of these privacy concerns, what do you think that we should be looking at first, and how can we address real risks without creating new compliance burdens that will make AI less accessible to Main Street companies?
It's an excellent question, and there's a reason that Texas small businesses are using AI. 86% of them grew their workforce, the ones who used it, but they have concerns. 62% of Texas small businesses are worried about a patchwork of state AI and privacy regulations, creating an environment where small businesses incur the costs and don't reap the benefits and can't compete with larger companies. I think there are really two things that really can be helpful in creating a regulatory environment for AI. One is passing national data privacy legislation. The Secure Data Act is currently in front of the E&C committee right now. It is legislation that is based in large part on the Texas Data Privacy and Security Act, and also along with 19 other states across the country as a model for privacy legislation that would put consumers in charge of their data and give them the right to delete it, correct it. But at the same time, we also do need a national AI framework as well that prevents a patchwork from emerging. And I think as we look at that, one of the first things we have to do is address, where is AI already regulated? We need to do a gap analysis to see where the laws can already play a role in protecting people. We already have laws in the books that protect against discrimination, privacy in over 20 states, consumer protection laws in 50 states. We have an FTC Act that protects consumers on a national level. And then at that point, there needs to be a real discussion about a risk-based framework that's targeted and tailored for those areas of harms where the law has not caught up with the technology. One example of that is the Take It Down Act, which was signed into law, which would have criminalized the distribution of deep fake revenge images and also giving consumers a right to take those images off websites and off the internet. So that's really where we feel a balanced approach is. And I think as we look at AI regulation, it's important to note, even if there is preemption of specific AI regulations across the country, there's still a backstop of these laws of general applicability, like consumer protection, discrimination, and privacy.
I appreciate the answer, by the way. I've asked a number of CEOs and founders of some of the largest AI companies, and that was the best answer I've gotten. Very complete and well thought out. I appreciate that. Mr. Hong, in your testimony, you discussed the importance of both proprietary and open models to small businesses, including the importance of open models due to cost. Can you kind of expand on the current state of the closed and open model ecosystem and how small businesses use both types to operate and build their businesses?
Yeah, to be clear, I'm neither pro-open or anti-open or pro-closed or anti-open model. I believe in choice. Choice provides competition. It provides the consumers the opportunity to use the models that are best. We obviously are familiar with the closed models that are kind of on the frontier edge. There's also a number of open models that are very close. They're driving down the cost to access these capabilities. I built my platform on this idea of choice. You can choose what models you want to use, and collaboration, so you can get the best of models working together. I think we need more competition in the sense of more access to both closed and open models, so consumers can let competition do what it does best, which is produce the best products and services for America.
I appreciate that very much. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.